live. Yes,
Okay.
there are already people joining. Yes, I think.
Okay.
So let's give them 30 seconds, a minute or so they can join. And in the meantime, I will be speaking a little bit about the topic today. Hey, just people who are here. Let me just check if I can see the attendees. Oliver, Martin, and Milena, if you could say, and other people, if you could say hi or something like that, if you can hear us, if the audio is good, that would be really cool. And maybe say where you're from or something like that. We would appreciate that. And now I'm gonna say something about the topics, what we will be talking about. Then speakers will introduce themselves, and then we will go ahead and discuss topics. So, the B2C banking is a hot topic. Everybody's talking about Revolut and Monies and Starling, etc. But we can see that in past year, the traction of B2B banking in challenger banks is getting traction. So I thought that thank you, Martin, for letting us know. So I thought that this is a great topic to discuss because I do panel discussion on the future of UX design only about challenger banks, but I haven't spoken much about challenger banks and B2B banking. Last time we spoke with Magda on previous discussion, so I'm happy to have her here again. With Olena, we did a panel discussion as well once. And with Gianluca, now it's the first time for me with him. So I hope everything's going to be smooth and great. So we will be talking about what's the future of B2B banking, what has happened after Corona, how is the situation now, and basically how we can shape the B2B banking, what customers are looking for, etc. Before we start, you can, I'm talking to the audience, you can ask any questions. Feel free to write into the chat, or there's also section Q&A. So feel free to publish there any question, and I will either in between when we are talking or at the end of the panel discussion, I will ask them to presenters. So this is it. Please, if you could say 1-2 sentences about yourself, Olena, introduce yourself, and then we will jump to other speakers as well for introduction.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Solena Grinyuk. I am responsible for the Central Eastern Europe at the SME Banking Club, where we are connecting SME bankers, fintechs, and other financial organizations that are providing financial services to small business customers. I have experience and background in banking, working almost 10 years in Raiffeisen and EFG Group as in SME sales and as a head of SME product. So, and now I'm also as SME Banking Club, I'm a small business customer in Poland, so I can actually address all the questions that we will be discussing from 3 points of view, from banking point of view, from analytical point of view. Is now at SME Banking Club, we are watching from a side a bit on the banks and fintechs what they are providing, and as a customer of using, which is what I'm using as a customer in Poland in several banks. So thank you and I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Amazing. So we will see it from all the point of views. You will give us the input. Looking forward to that. Thank you for the intro. Magda, if you could say something about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Magda Marczak. I am actually, funny thing, Polish, but I live just in London, and I currently just work for the Tide as a product lead for payment services, cards. But I am with the fintech since 2015. This is when I just joined them from working almost 10 years previously for the eBay classifieds group. So I have a more just like a mixed experience into like e-commerce. But as I said, like my heart is now with fintech for many, many years. and I was just working for multiple startups, as I am a big fan of actually startups in the financial industry. So here I am now. We've started for almost a year. Thank you.
Thank you, Magda. Glad to have you on board. Gianluca, please.
All right.
Go ahead.
Sure. I'm Gianluca. I'm responsible at Penta for product and commercial strategy. So my team is taking care of, let's say, our long-term strategic roadmap. So being it strategic partnerships, but also, all the cross-functional projects, integrating other companies, etc. So really having the long-term vision always for Penta in mind. Despite that, I've been working with Deutsche Bank the last 10 years, mainly in strategy roles. So first of all, in the private and business clients organization, mainly also in product strategy. And then I was actually working for our in-house consulting department, was leading many projects as a project manager, especially in the sustainability, but also in the digitalization area. And then I founded a corporate venture, also funded by Deutsche Bank in Berlin, a payment wallet focused on the e-commerce, but also the stationary retail. This one was unfortunately shut down after the COVID break. And I'm with Penta since 8 months, and we're looking forward to drive currently SME banking with Penta.
Enjoying the ride with Penta.
Exactly.
Cool. Thank you very much. This is actually interesting. The fact that all of you have experience with retail banking as well as B2B banking. So I'm curious about the points of views from. Maybe we can compare it a little bit. What's the difference and all that stuff. So let me start. Maybe a little bit about myself actually as well. So. I'm from Everlay, that is a marketing agency that is helping fintechs with marketing. I do these panel discussions, interviews and stuff like that. And also I work for Data, that's a fintech startup enriching transactions for banks, etc., helping with UX. So the first question that I have, let me just open it. I have many questions, so I hope it's going to be a fruitful discussion. So I don't want to get into the COVID topics again. I think we have a lot of panel discussions, but we know that the environment has changed because of that. So Gianluca, what are the main changes that you have seen in B2B banking or SME banking in the past 1 to 2, 3 years? What are the major differences?
I mean, despite of the actual digitization trend we are seeing with the SMEs, I think we mainly experienced 2 actual drivers. So first one, definitely sustainability. So a lot of our clients are asking for tailored products, but also guidance. So I think this one was also quite top of mind in the B2C banking already like 2 or 3 years ago. We've seen a lot of first features as well. So being it a CO2 or carbon calculator next to your transactions, for example, etc. But this has to be some more complex and more more detailed to fulfill also needs for B2B, I guess. So this is something we are really looking into it right now. First of all, sustainability. And second major driver we've experienced is that a lot of our clients are using Penta actually more as a, I would say, software as a service, so more as a workflow tool to really get like an holistic view on their finances. So, I mean, as an SME, you have most likely an accounting tool which you're using for your financials. Then you have your account, and then you have like several different financial tools. For example, other card spending tools as Moz or as Pleo, So a lot of those are in the market as well. And I think a lot of those clients are using us, to bring everything together at one single place, and they're really looking for a holistic tool to manage that. And this is why we are also, integrating with a lot of accounting providers currently, and much deeper than we've done it before. And I think it's more about like how to build also banking as a software and also as a workflow tool for the digital CFO also going forward. So mainly two drivers: sustainability actually, and the second one is definitely banking as a workflow tool. I'm not sure how you experience it. Potentially, Magda, you're also at Tide.
Yes, so for us, it was COVID just actually did two things. The one that lots of businesses couldn't actually just progress as because of lockdown, and mostly just like restaurants, etc. So it has one similar to you, the kind of need of sustainability, but also a questions about credit, and Tide actually was prepared for that because we offered a help to our members. We called it Tide Charity at that time, so we can actually just help those struggling businesses. But what actually COVID did as well is the fact that the people had no possibility just to progress, and the fact that lots of people were made redundant or lost job. It caused that actually people started thinking about their life and started actually doing things they always wanted to. So what we've seen is actually the opposite. We thought that, the old business is going to go bust. It is the opposite, actually. We've seen the spike in terms of the entrepreneurs, people who previously did not think of opening a company, they actually did it. And they just started doing things they always wanted to. So we actually seen the opposite effect to those that people think, oh, it was a really just a horrible situation. Yes, it was tough, but it actually just changed something in people. And what Tide does, and I think this is just according to the mission that we have, is just to allow those businesses to save their time and money, right? So that they can back to things they love. And Tide offers such a comprehensive set of tools that we help those, for example, startups to open the company. And we want, to deal with the expenses, day-to-day things, accounting, tax. So I think this is just now we're trying to even improve that experience. So it is more smooth, everything is automated, so they really can save time and money. And this is what the businesses want, apart from one thing, it is this sustainability, ensuring that actually they will have some protection for the future, but also is something that we can help those young, inexperienced businesses to kind of get on board. And I can say, for example, there is one feature called Credit Builder. This is a very good feature that we offer for our services, especially startups, when you just don't have a credit history. So you're not gonna get the credit, but you need to just then build some credit history. So this is one of the examples. And what we see is, surprise, surprise, people get back to the normal life, and they really just, demand this kind of day-to-day things, the customer service, right? That we help them immediately, etc. So this is what mostly happened.
Yeah, I'm interested. How many customers did you both gain, Magda and Gianluca, compared to, because you had I think you had a moment during the lockdowns to grab some customer from traditional banks, which maybe were not so fast in digitalization, when everything was closed and you cannot go to the branch, then you should have the digital customer onboarding. So was it a success years for you in this sense of business? Because it's one of the main results what we are discussing in the region, which COVID accelerated, maybe not started, but accelerated in the region, is the digitalization of all the processes. So my question is, have you seen this in your businesses?
So I can speak for Penta, and it's definitely a yes. So
Okay.
as I mentioned before, so people are getting much more curious about processes, and also, you know, if they are looking on the company, how to improve also things. And I think it's quite limited if you're looking on the products of traditional banks, how you also improve, as I mentioned, all your workflows in a company. And this is why they're actively deciding for a different product. And I think Penta got a lot of traction here. But what we are also seeing, and this was the effect of 2021, a lot of new businesses are getting founded, as Magda just said. And we have a market share, I think, around like 15% of every new company foundation is going for a Penta account in Germany. So this is also quite, well, this was a quite good effect in 2021 at least. So
Yeah, cool.
So with Tide is a little bit different because we already offer a set of features, right? They are digitalized. So I think this is just our advantage when it comes to banks, and the fact that you just mentioned, you know, the banks were not open, right? But we still offer the 24/7 service for our members. So I think this was the advantage. People at the beginning were just like very, I would say, cautious. But because also the good thing is we also offer people basically set of all those our features for free, right? So there is no harm in it. So that's why people were just first curious.
To try.
Then of course they started using it more and more because you can literally just, you know, in a very simple way do the expenses, and you can create invoices, just follow up with when it comes to invoices, do the accounting and tax. So it's quite convenient already. So
yeah, it is. Here I noticed at the beginning of the first lockdown, let's say that in CE region, countries were divided in two parts. Like the first one, it was like, please, the message to the customers during the lockdown, it was like, please do all the banking online, don't come to the branches. And second was, please check into the electronic queue to come to the branch, but in a certain hour. And this first, one of the main countries which actually provided everything in digital way is Poland. And here we have really examples of the banks, like for example, ING banks. Of course, they started earlier than the COVID started, but they offer to all customer segments, even to large corporates, a digital customer onboarding, and all, not only onboarding, but the whole cycles. So if you do not want to come to your relationship manager to the branch, you can do everything online, mainly online, not mobile, but online, yes. And this is and they actually reported during the first COVID year that they had really close to 100% of the customers onboarded, digital business customers onboarded digitally during this years. So the rest of the banks showed it was like kind of 50-50. So this I think was one of the results of the lockdowns, that even, I mean, the other results, even if the banks didn't have this year the full digital processes, at least some applications or digital signatures were implemented. So at least kind of the main percentage of the operations that could be done remotely, the customers had this possibility to do this. The second is that this lack of finance. I think this is one of the main bad influence on SMEs directly, because traditional banks restricted their credit policies very hard, and this access to the finance became again a pain point for SMEs. And the ones that were able to provide some finance, and the best in a digital way, so the less bureaucracy, the better for SMEs, because as you say, when they were on the age of breakdown, so either we survive and retract the business to a new way, and start selling another way or start doing other things. They needed this finance very fast. So when during a year or a year after, some banks implemented some digital solutions for part of the SMEs, that could be too late, because this is a very long term lag for them. So SMEs need really fast decision, and that's why, for example, what we saw here in Poland, a lot of, several factoring fintechs or invoice finance fintechs that are providing purely digital invoice finance, they gained a lot, and in general factoring sector gained a lot and continuing to grow year by year, because this actually became one of the main sources of receiving some real money for business customers, and especially for SMEs, because again, the invoices also were paid with bigger delay than usual during the lockdowns, because all the businesses suffered, or the main part of businesses suffered. So this is second. And third, our analysis, because we do the studies on the digital services available for SMEs in the CE region on an annual basis, and what we see here is that I'm a big fan of digitalization, and I would like everything digitalized. So for me, this digitalization in the region was done in a bit slow way, because we see kind of 5% increase every year, which we can consider it big or not, or small percentage. For me, this is small. This is my personal score. But what we also see is that the main operations or the daily transactions are already in online, in mobile banking, so are already digitalized. And this, if previously the competitive advantage was to have the online or mobile banking and have the possibility to transact online, now their advantage is, because this is 80% of the banks have this implemented, so this is not this is a must-have. So this is not what differentiates anybody on the market. And this advantage started to move towards what banks are calling these value-added services. But for the SMEs, they're also daily problems and daily services, kind of invoicing, online accounting, etc. And the banks that start creating these ecosystems are started to win, because this what SMEs actually started to expect from the banks. And I was choosing also a bank who is providing accounting, for example, and invoicing, because why should I have a separate invoicing if it's better to have it implemented with the bank and integrated with the bank accounts, etc. So this is moving towards these non-core services at the moment for the banks. I think this is a third lesson, or the third move that we saw after the COVID.
So it's funny you mentioned this, because when Tide is mobile only, or mostly, I would say, the fact that we actually gained lots of SMEs from previous, just like the usual banks, I would say, it just caused that they actually ask us to having a web
Okay.
use, because they are still cautious and they still like to do some transactions on the web, not on the mobile, right? So it's still it's a something very, very interesting here. That
Hey, Isha, this is interesting fact, because I'm the same. Do my business banking on website, because I still feel that it's a little bit more secure than
I think it's because
mobile.
when the numbers are
Yeah,
bigger,
bigger,
there is a less
you are feeling more safe.
Yeah, yeah. Internet, at least my laptop, I feel it's a little bit safer than the mobile.
Yeah.
But I think, because I think that's just a perception, like doing my business accounting on the small device like that, whereas I can do everything on my computer, Excel files, and then just on the big screen. Jana, did you want to say something?
I mean, I just wanted to say that's exactly what we are also currently seeing with our mobile app, that actually, that potentially from B2C banking. So in B2C banking, everyone expect as a customer that you have the entire functionality on mobile and on web. What we are actually discovering, and what is also kind of our strategy currently with our mobile app, is that we are building a little bit additional functionality in the mobile app, but we are not copycatting the web app, right? The full functionality is with the web app, and we see, I think, in the B2B space, even more like additional use cases in the B2C app. So, for example, being it the most of our customer using our mobile app, for example, for 2FA definitely, but also to scan any kind of invoices. So that's the second most used feature. And third one is definitely mobile payments, so Google Pay, Apple Pay, etc. But it's not that we are covering the same experience. It's more about that the mobile app is the solution for many other different use cases. And I'm definitely that this will continue in the B2B world, and how the B2B customer is using mobile.
Yeah. I think it also depends on how big is the customer, and is it a private entrepreneur, meaning a sole trader, or this is a company. It also can differ, because if you are a private entrepreneur, I think the behavior is closer to the to the individual customer, but it also depends on the functionality of the mobile application, I would say. So if it is a good mobile applications with all the functions available in the online banking, but it is done in a way that it is really you like how you use it in the mobile, then I think people will in time prefer mobile, because this is easy, because we have our mobile phones everywhere, and this is becoming easy. But only if the user experience is good. Because what I see now in the region, for business customers, banks still are focusing mainly on the online banking. I mean, on the innovation and development of the online banking first, and then the mobile banking. And for example, reason why I'm not using mobile banking often as a business customer, just because there are not all the functions available. And for me, this is simply to end the online banking, because I have everything there. So all the transactions and lending, for example, and all the applications online for anything. So this is the reason. But I think it will be moving to mobile, at least for this part of entrepreneurs customers, and also maybe for this, when I don't know, maybe when also the generation of accountants will change, because usually in companies, when, for example, several people need to accept the transaction, then it is becoming more complicated when you do it via mobile.
So I would politely disagree, because on Tide, and I think I don't want to just praise the company here I work for, but to be honest, this is what Tide did really well. We basically implemented solution that now allows you in a super simple way to use the phone. And not only the fact that we actually don't build stuff in-house, but we just do the integration with third parties, allows us for the to play, actually to cooperate with the best players who have experience in it, right? So when we think about Zero, for example, and what allows this just for the accountant is that they have own tool that they can easily connect with our app and get the relevant information. So for example, if anyone needs to do accounting or tax, it's a very simple thing for accountants, and they even say this, oh, you are with Tide, okay, that's fine, there won't be a problem. So I think this is where the kind of plus is, because we decided to use the best players in-house and do the integrations with them. So this is what the Tide, I think it's very good at.
Yes, I agree.
can
The
imagine that
experience is crucial. I mean, I would love, use the mobile banking for everything, and not to open the laptop. But yes,
Yeah.
there is still, a part of customers that's really are working also in different this accounting system, because, for example, Zero in the Central Eastern Europe is not so popular for the invoicing and accounting,
Yes,
and still these solutions that are here on the market, they are not so integrated so much with the online banking and
with the
mobile
banking.
banking.
Yeah.
But I'm sure this is the future. This should be the future. So if we talk, Simon, on the what is next in business banking, so this is one of the things that what should be. This interoperability that you can really, I mean, this is another topic, of the discussion for me, because, when I saw the topic of the discussion that you sent, at what is next in business banking, I thought at once that what I'm liking, for example, as a customer, and what are the discussions now, maybe on the market, is this actually interoperability, because banks and fintechs should go to, in my opinion, should go to another step of this creating of ecosystem, meaning that, for example, I have everything in one bank, like banking account, like business account, maybe individual account, I have invoicing, I have online accounting, everything in one bank. But when I was opening an account there and moving my accounting to there, so I was to refuse from my previous systems totally. So no data exchange with any systems, and start from zero in the banking ecosystem.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean. So this ecosystem things should come to this interoperable stage when you can integrate and data can be exchanged from different platforms. And for example, if I would like to use online accounting from one of the banks in Poland, it should be integrated, and this or my existing online accounting, when I open the account in this bank, should be integrated automatically. This should not be a case that I should close everywhere, manually upload the data, and continue from the scratch and start in the new bank from the scratch.
But there is the open banking, and their open banking has so many possibilities to solve actually particularly that problem that you mentioned about. So,
Yes, open
Are you
banking.
using somehow open banking already, Magda or Jan,
yes.
in the apps? Yeah, because that's one of the questions that I'm most curious. Like, what are the use cases of open banking and B2B banking? We know about account aggregation and B2C. Maybe some cross-selling, upselling based on all the payment data. So what are the use cases of open banking in SME banking?
So at the moment, just bear in mind, this is basically the PSD2 directive, that it's not that we want to, we have to, right? So it's both ways. If we want to connect with other banks, they are required to allow us to happen, and also we as a bank, we need to just be open, right? So it's the IS and PIS. But for us, we've started actually doing the open access and just get connected just with only few banks. We want to just expand this, of course, and that is at the moment, in a I would say a first phase is basically something that everyone will allow this, just to first of all to see your balances of other banks, but it opens the possibilities Olena mentioned about. So we don't have them yet, but of course there's something that you mentioned is ambitionally something we probably want to do in the future. So I cannot tell more about this, but definitely we want to be in a situation, right, and to use and utilize the fact that we actually just, you know, can help our members to manage all the finances in one place, and how to solve it, etc. This is just another discussion, and this is, of course, bear in mind, banking is still young, right? It is 2018 actually when it just comes, and to be honest, now it is being implemented. So we still, of course, and older banks and everyone has to just learn a lot about this, but it opens the door.
Yeah. And I think it's
very interesting.
Yeah, totally agree. And in the end, it's really about how you want to play it. So if you're just doing like the minimum, which is PSD2, or if you play it actively. And we've actually also decided to play it more actively, because I think if you offer your API more freely and more consumable, also from a developer side of or developer point of view, then also for example, your customer can do a lot with that API. And we are currently in beta with our customer API, and we are seeing already that a lot of more like really tech heavy clients are using our API actively instead of going to the online banking. So they are building their own dashboard, they are building their own functionality around it. And I think this will be definitely the future, so that people are actively, you know, building a use case around bank transaction data. And secondly, we also want to explore the possibility of giving that actively also to partners. So being at accounting providers, but it could be also, you know, a platform. So for example, Uber. So Uber can then potentially, you know, use our API and also our transactional data to better serve their drivers if they have a Penta account, for example. Because then they can build their own payment use cases around our API or our transactional data. So for me, it's not only about like that multi-banking functionality. So just that the customer can just add more and more accounts. It's really about like how to use that data going forward and how to, you know, make that also consumable. So this is what we are actually working on.
Really interesting what you are all saying, because what I feel here is that basically you're trying to build a solution that will basically serve all the needs of a SME customer, right? Like Revolut is trying to build a super app. You know, Starling is, for example, you can see that for SME banking they do this marketplace, right, where you can even have your lawyer, you know, hire a lawyer or something like that. And I'm curious, what I see in retail banking is that there's these small neobanks that are really niche. They serve really small target audience, such as this eco-friendly population, you know, that really in Germany you have Tomorrow One, you know, they really focus on the, let's say, these millennials that are environmentally friendly. So the question is like, who is the winner? Is the winner, or what is the future? One big platform that will serve and fits all the needs, or actually the opposite, that you will serve and focus on a specific need? What do you think, Jan, Luca?
Yeah, I would say we will see different platforms, and it's more about the connectivity between tools and platforms. And I think we will see, and we are already seeing also in the German market, that we have the same development as for the B2C neobanks a couple of years ago, so that we will see much more vertical business models. So for example, one focusing on sustainability, one focusing on women, especially one focusing on another vertical. And we will see that definitely also with regards to business banking. So you have to look on the SME market. So the SME market is still a huge target group, right? So from a solo entrepreneur, so a freelancer, up to a 200 FTE company, you have different target groups, different industries, different product needs, and I think we will definitely see some different platform models here, and also some different neobanks going forward. But they all will be there. It's more about like how to connect all those things, like what the modern CFO is using, so accounting tools, cards, etc. So text.
Honestly, I really like the idea that I would just build my own apps on the top of your data. I think that like the dashboards and some cool stuff.
Build your own
Magda,
use case, yes.
Magda, did you want to say something about
Yes,
on the
the
top of it?
website is more kind of complex because we just use almost, I could say, a matrix. So something that Januka just mentioned, it's like, of course, the verticals, right? But you also have to really differentiate the members of the customers, right? Because you will not have the same features, for example, for sole traders or for someone who is started in restaurants or some kind of is doing the startup versus just SMEs, right? When they have a medium company. For example, a good example is the expense cards. If you are just on your own, you only just need to do your own expenses. You don't have to, you don't have employees who just need to buy something and then expense it. So there is this understanding, but also it is something similar than in us, that we just need to also think about verticals, and we do, but they are also responsible for thinking about, okay, what segments do we have and how to actually just find those needs, how to customize those apps, how to actually just provide the features that they won't be obstacles for other people, but usually they are not. It's just at the moment it is not, as something that is just really unnecessary, for one group or another one. But they are differences, and we need to be very aware of them. They're gonna just be even bigger in the future.
Yes, in C region there is no much example, or actually no real example of the marketplace, I would say, from the banks or from the fintech side. I mean, operating here in the CE. So I hope this will appear in the nearest years. So we'll see. I mean, now this is a future thinking in the context of this region at the moment. But I'm a fan of it.
Let's see where it goes. Hey, we've got
We have two questions.
Exactly, we've got two questions from audience.
I'm a good answer.
Let's start with the first one. I don't know if Gianluca is losing the Wi-Fi or something like that. Let's see if he connects. Yes, he's back.
He's with us.
So,
yes.
What do you guys think about the budgeting tools in SME banking? So we can see that usually in retail banking, the BFMs are basically almost must have. It's a norm now. But how about how about BFMs? Business finance management solutions.
Mm-hmm.
So are you working on some new cool innovations? Is it something besides? I guess one of the part is accounting. That's kind of finance management, right? But do you plan to implement some cool features about this finance management, budgeting or something like that? Magda, for example.
So at Tide, it is actually just to be honest, we covered already quite a lot when it comes to those management, and whoever just has a company, and really if you register, you will be you've seen that there is a lot, right? Of course, there is a question about, let's say, additional things like payroll, or maybe just to kind of enhance the current features we have, because we have basically almost everything when it comes. Not only this, we want to also help to educate people so they can just start it. We also offer, by the way, legal help, etc., but we want to educate them so they can actually just start doing these things, even just in a better way. And I mentioned at the beginning the credit builder, for example, that is something that helps them enormously. But to be honest, already our portfolio is quite rich in that sense. So I think they are very important. They if anyone is thinking now to just get into the market and offering the business solution, things like expenses, accounting, the whole budgeting. If you have even companies, medium companies, then payroll. This is a must-have. This is basically if without that you as a new don't know a new app for the businesses or banking for the businesses, you will suffer and you will not get through. So I believe this is already, I would say, something that is almost required if you want to just start getting into that business for time being.
I agree. And if I may add here, so for me also the part of the BFM which is crucially important is this forecast, financial forecast or financial gap forecast, because, and I think this is, I do consider this as a must-have. At the moment in the CE region, I think 3 or 4 banks only implemented this functionality for their business customers. For me, this is a must, because this is actually this is what will be next in business banking. It can and it should change the way the banks are selling the products to business customers. For example, having the BFM, so having the invoicing tool, having the online accounting inside, having all the transactions and having a forecast. And when the customers see that, okay, next week, my forecast, I have a red saldo, and next week I should pay to my counterparties or to pay salary, etc. And I see in the forecast that I will not have money next week. This is the very moment when overdraft should be offered to the customer, factoring should be offered to the customer to finance these needs. And I'm giving an example which I still, I see that banks sometimes, not only banks, maybe other financial companies as well, do not understand the real needs of SME customers. I still getting some calls, 9 in the morning when somebody's calling me, do you need factoring or do you need overdraft? And I'm telling 9 in the morning, I don't need overdraft or factoring. I need coffee. When I may need this product is the moment of the forecast that I see I don't have money, or I issue the invoice in the banking invoice tool, and banks, having analyzed my previous data, my previous counterparties, for example, and with which delay my counterparties are paying, or this exact counterparty, after issuing the invoice, it should be a button at once, finance this invoice. And this is the way how the sales to business customers should be run exactly in the business context right now, when it can be really helpful to the customer, and not calling in the business time when I'm not thinking about banking. I'm thinking how to do my business. And the BFM tool, we also discussed many times during our webinars and events that this should be a must-have for business customers, for sure. And there are providers, there is technology on the market. The only thing is to have this in the priority for the banks to implement.
Mm-hmm. And I add to this because it's spot on, actually. And reporting, apart from forecasting, is the reporting. And it's just summarize not only thing from, and this is the difference between the personal banking, right? But you only, if you get reporting, this is how much you spend and where. Now for the companies, this is very important because they need to know is, for example, if they spend on, I don't know, on the items for the office, or for example, in terms of any, transaction they made, they need to know this precisely. So categorization is a very important of when you just spend stuff. So what did you spend it for? And you get a completely different, more comprehensive reports from this. So this is something also quite important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gianluca, I saw that you wanted to say something. I'm not sure if we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't.
Check them. I think that was when you lost the Wi-Fi. I think it changed the setting. By the way, in meantime, when you will be changing the setting, just to the audience, feel free to ask last questions. There's one from Ivo, so we will answer that. Feel free to ask last question because we are heading to towards the end of the discussion. Gianluca, how does it seem with your mic? In worst case scenario, you can write the answer in the chat. No, but basically, if you click the circle at the bottom, next to the camera, there should be an option how to change the mic. Let's see if you manage. Okay, in meantime, reconnecting. Interesting. How is it? The first number one IT support sentences. Have you turned it on and off? I think we can hear you.
Perfect.
Yes.
So I think that's also nicely connecting to Ivo's question. So the next one in the chat, because what we also experience is a certain demand for short-term lending in comparison to long-term lending. And I think if you're looking on liquidity and if you are looking on liquidity forecasting, liquidity reporting, then it's also always also a good solution to offer directly in that moment, not only like overdraft facility, but also we are looking deeply into, let's say, buy now, pay later, what we are already seeing on the B2C side. So this is something definitely small SMEs will take up. So this is a focus field of us, definitely. So looking forward to offer also more short-term products here.
I've seen actually that on LinkedIn some posts about new companies trying to reinvent basically the features that are B2C, to B2B basically. And now the buy now pay later, I think I saw it actually today that there is a new startup offering BNPL for SMEs. So yeah, let's see what will arise. Hey, honestly, I think we have answered basically almost all the questions that I had.
I can add here.
Without me even asking them, and I'm sure that we will be able to go on and on. But I think it's the perfect time I guess to stop it here. If you want to add something, Olena, go ahead, add it now. But if there are no questions from audience,
I just want to ask to Ivo's actually just question here. By the way, there is a company called Market Finance, and they actually have a very good business model when they offer loans based on the invoices, the outstanding invoices you have to pay, for example. And this is something that they are quite popular in the UK. I'm not sure if they are in the Europe, but this is something that is quite popular.
In the CE, yeah, if to go short, to add shortly. So yes, buy now pay later, of course, is becoming popular at the moment in the CE region. We see two active players that are implemented together with the banks as well. This is Twisto from Czech Republic and PayPro from Poland. And they're implementing in e-commerce with the cooperation also with the banks here. And of course, this is a good substitute, and actually this is competition to the banks for microloans when business. So this is a tool also for e-commerce as well, but also from the business customers that are buying online, and buying online, especially in Poland, in Czech Republic, is very popular, one of the high numbers in the region. And this actually can substitute microloans in which banks are failing. This is if you're buying a really small equipment, kind of camera or something like this, you can really use this solution and improve the liquidity, with no bureaucracy. This is fast and this is convenient. So yes, I see the future, and I do like this. And the other innovation is actually continued digitalization of the full credit cycles, which is also, of the banks in the CE region have fully digitalized credit cycle, starting from the loan application and ending with the signing of the loan agreement and also with the loan administration afterwards. So, here is I hope this number will be increasing from the banks, because this is really crucial for SMEs to have it faster.
Yeah. Just the last thing, guys, buy now, pay later. I know that there is a huge potential in this. However, this is still not regulated like other type of loans, right? And this is the difference. When everyone is super excited about it, it is very simple. But bear in mind, it is just still, as this is a quite new product on the market overall, they are not specific regulations. And the other regulations that we have for short-term lending, long-term lending, right, they already exist there. This is something new. So for time being, it is really simple, and it's quite, I would say, safe in the sense, and it's exciting product. But let's see what the regulator will say about this in 1 year, for example.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay. Hey, I think the time is up. If you have any final remarks, please go ahead. No?
Just to summarize, what is, maybe let us summarize each of us in several words. What is next in business banking? So as I mentioned, this is continuous digitalization of all the services for SMEs, adding and entering to this ecosystem and non-core business at the moment for the banks. Interoperability, this is it. And changing sales models, yes, in the business context.
Amen to that. Okay, hey, thank you very much, everyone, speakers as well as audience, to joining us. For joining us here. I think it was a really cool discussion. I have learned a lot of new things about the market. So this session has been recorded. So if you want to watch it again, I think it's going to be online tomorrow. If you want to reach out to the speakers, I think they are on LinkedIn, all of them. So if there were some questions that you haven't asked, you can do it on LinkedIn. But it was a real big pleasure to have you here, and hopefully see you on another panel discussion about what has changed from the last time we spoke.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. You take your word.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks a lot.
It was a pleasure. Have a good day. And see you
Thanks a lot.
around. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.